Hey, okay, move that out. What's up, y'all? We back with another video. My man Thomas Sowell. Now, I disagree with a lot of things Thomas Sowell says. I agree with some things he says and disagree with other things. But, you know, that's the point of America. We're here to disagree and agree and move on with however, you know, our lives or whatever. But I love talking about Thomas Sowell. I like Thomas Sowell's opinions. I definitely think he puts the mirror up for accountability for the black community, and it's definitely a good thing and well needed. But also I think there's a lot of things that he leaves out, and he misconstrued certain things, and I think he does it purposely. I think he purposely be obtuse, but I could be wrong. So anyways, y'all comment down below what you think, and I'm gonna challenge y'all this, right? I want to see I'm not gonna listen to any white people in this comment section. I'm only gonna listen to black people, right? I want you to give me your best argument for the argument that he makes against why Tulsa happened, the Tulsa massacre happened, and how that didn't have an effect, or how big business came in and took a lot of the things that black people had, how that didn't have an effect on the black community, how it's only based on the culture of the black community that comes from British people, from a poor British people. I want to know, like, do you think that those things really didn't have an effect? Redlining, COINTELPRO, all those things like that. I'm just having that question. But I'm just playing. I'll listen to the white people too. But I just really do want to listen to the black people, because I feel like white people are so on they don't want to accept accountability for what happened, that they're trying to deflect from everything that happened. And they do it a lot in the Thomas Sowell comment sections. I don't mind it, y'all. We can have the conversation, but there's definitely a role white people play in it. There's accountability that black people need, but there's a role that white people play in it that we do need to discuss. And I feel like Thomas Sowell kind of deflects from that. But it's both, but there is accountability in the black community that's needed, and it needs to happen 1,000%, definitely does. But there's also some type of accountability that white people have in this scenario too. So argue with me if you want in the comment section, and go fuck your mama. Anyways, let's go.
When politicians point their finger at the rich and whip up resentment, they're not trying to empower anybody. They're not lifting up the poor. They're disarming them. They're creating a distraction, a sleight of hand, so you don't notice what's really happening. The strategy is as old as politics itself. Stoke envy, manufacture outrage, and direct it at a convenient target. That way, people are too busy hating to ask why the schools don't teach, why the jobs don't come, or why the system keeps so many trapped in dependency. The deeper game here is control.
I want anybody who has lived long enough to understand economy to listen to what he just said. They distract you by blaming the rich. That's what politicians do. First of all, one half of the politicians, which the Democrats, do that. The Republicans don't. They don't do that at all. They don't blame the rich, right? So in general, are you talking about the politics in general in our country, that they have us focused on the rich? And my biggest question for what he said with that one was, who are we in debt to? Think about it, guys. Who are we in debt to? Who do we owe our debt to? I'm thinking the rich.
Politicians thrive on a permanent class of aggrieved voters, people who feel cheated, who believe their struggles are someone else's fault. If you can convince people that the rich are stealing their share, you've got a ready-made constituency. You don't have to deliver results. You don't have to fix the schools that fail generation after generation. You don't have to reform a welfare system that punishes work and rewards stagnation. You just point to the wealthy, say they're the problem, and promise to fix it with more laws, more taxes, more government. And what happens? The problems don't get fixed. The poor stay poor. But the politician stays in power because he's got you angry at the wrong target.
We are cleaning and building and constructing a masjid in downtown Ottawa, Center Town Mosque. Please give us.
Let's be clear about something. Wealth is not a fixed pie that one person grabs at another's expense. Wealth is created. It comes from people solving problems, building businesses, inventing products, taking risks. The entrepreneur who starts a company doesn't take money out of your pocket. He hires workers, meets needs, and generates value. The investor who funds innovation doesn't rob the poor. He makes possible the technologies that raise everyone's standard of living. And yes, these people often get rich in the process, but that's not a crime. It's a byproduct of creating something others find valuable. When you vilify them, you're not just attacking individuals, you're attacking the incentives that drive progress. You're killing the engine that makes economic mobility possible.
I agree. Like, I agree. The rich stimulate the economy. They are the reason that the economy grows. But there's also a level of this that needs to be discussed. So, like, for example, prices have went up, but wages have not gone up. Why? Right? Prices have gone up, but wages have not gone up. The same amount of money that you can make, the amount of money that you could, if you made $50,000 in 1970, if you made $50,000 in 1970, now that's not enough to live off of. But you could live with a whole two kids with $50,000, which is the average income in America right now. It's gone up, right? If that's the case, I agree with a part of the element of what he said, but also listen to the other part of it, guys. What happened in 2008? It was wealthy bankers who money that they invest to build some of these businesses and stimulate the economy was also stealing money from the poor. And it created a big bubble which popped and caused an economic crisis. And this has happened consistently. This happened consistently through crashes. And they're wealthy. So, like, I feel like he's ignoring the side of it where we see, you can't fool us with saying that the rich aren't doing anything wrong. We see some of the things that the rich do. Now, but do a lot of the rich stimulate the economy? And like the left, I don't think the left, but a lot of people don't acknowledge that. Yeah, like the biggest contribution, you make money off becoming a contribution to society. So I agree with him, but I also it's like more he needs to say almost in a way with this Thomas. It's not that I disagree with Thomas Sowell on a lot of shit. It's like there's so much more to it is what I'm trying to say most of the time.
It works because envy is a cheap emotion to exploit. Mm-hmm. It's always there, simmering, ready to be stirred. Mm-hmm. You don't have to educate people to feel resentful. You just have to point them at a target. Politicians know this. They've known it for centuries. But let's look at what it costs, because the price is steep. And history shows it again and again. Back to the French Revolution, the rhetoric of equality and justice was intoxicating. Down with the aristocrats, up with the people. But what happened? The guillotine didn't just take down the wealthy. It decimated the middle class, the merchants, the professionals, anyone who built something. The result wasn't prosperity for the masses, it was chaos, famine, and then a dictator. Napoleon didn't rise because the poor were empowered. He rose because resentment tore society apart, and someone had to fill the void. The politicians who stoked that hatred didn't care about the poor, they cared about power. Fast forward to the 20th century.
But he also has to think, I know about the French Revolution, which is really good. He does too because he's a historian. But also, the monarchy was doing a lot of things with their wealth that was crazy. They were buying and investing in a lot of things that the poor were noticing. Like, people are poor, and the monarchy has this lavish, extravagant lifestyle that even towards the end, when I forgot the king's name at the time. I forgot his name, but anyways, when he was at the guillotine, before he went to the guillotine, he didn't even recognize his people anymore. That's how disconnected he was from his people. So it was an element of both. Like, one where people it was really an element of the government making decisions. At the time, that was a monarchy, man. Like, you can't say it was politicians doing that. The monarchy ran everything. The stirring up was people having a realization of the monarchy not being good. Like, I don't know, that was kind of weird.
Look at Britain in the 1970s. Their tax rates on high earners...
I think it was King Charles. Oh, I want to remember the name so bad, but let's go. 1970s, tax rates are higher.
Were so punitive, up to 83% on income, 98% on investment income, that capital fled the country. Entrepreneurs, innovators, businesses, they didn't stick around to be punished. They left. And who suffered? Not just the rich, but the workers who lost jobs, the consumers who faced shortages, the entire economy that stagnated. The government didn't redistribute wealth to the poor. It redistributed opportunity out of existence. Britain's recovery in the 1980s under Thatcher came when they stopped demonizing wealth and started rewarding effort. Or take Venezuela, a more recent tragedy. In the early 2000s, Hugo Chavez built his entire regime on hating the rich. He called them parasites, seized their businesses, nationalized industries, all in the name of the people. And what did the people get? Starvation, hyperinflation. A country with the world's largest oil reserves reduced to scavenging for food. The rich didn't destroy Venezuela. The politics of resentment did. When you drive out the people who create wealth, you don't get equality, you get collapse. Contrast that with times and places where wealth creation was respected. After World War II.
Okay, so I love that. I love that example. So I think a solution would be invest more in the poor. Invest more in people who can. Let me just let them talk. I like this. This is good. This is really good.
The United States saw one of the greatest economic booms in history. Taxes were reasonable, regulations were light, and people were free to build. The result, millions of ordinary Americans, factory workers, small business owners, veterans, moved into the middle class. Same with Hong Kong in the late 20th century. A tiny island with no resources became an economic powerhouse because it let people keep what they earned and rewarded risk-taking. Or look at the Reagan years in the U.S. Cutting taxes didn't just help the rich. It unleashed investment, created jobs, and lifted standards of living across the board. These aren't flukes. They're patterns. When you stop punishing success, you create opportunity. When you demonize it, you destroy it. Hypocrisy is the politician's oldest friend. You'll notice the loudest voices for equality rarely live like equals. They're in gated communities, flying private jets, sending their kids to schools the average person can't afford. They're not revolutionaries, they're power brokers. They preach class warfare because it's a useful tool, not because they believe it. If they really cared about the poor, they'd focus on what works. Better schools, fewer regulations, policies that reward. But that's hard, it takes results. It's much easier to point at the rich and say, they're your problem. This isn't about fairness for them, it's about control. When you expand the state in the name of redistributing wealth, you don't just take money, you take power. You decide who gets what, who's favored, who's punished, and who benefits most, the people running the show. The politician who rails against greed isn't giving up his own perks. He's building a system where he's the gatekeeper. That's why the same elites who decry inequality never talk about decentralizing power. They want the state to grow because they're the ones steering it.
Feed your crew with a family meal for a famously good price. Only at Lee's. Famous for a reason.
Summer savings are here at Going Gone by Dick's Sporting Goods.
The alternative is to focus on reality, not emotions. You help the poor by removing barriers to their success, not by punishing someone else's. That means schools that actually teach reading, math, skills, not indoctrination. It means a welfare system that bridges people to independence, not traps them in dependency. It means taxes and regulations that don't strangle small businesses or discourage work. It means respecting the fact that wealth creation isn't a zero-sum game. When someone builds a business, they're not taking from you, they're adding to the world.
Agreed.
As for seeing through the con, let me leave you with 3 truths that cut through the noise. First, envy is not a moral compass. It's a political weapon. It feels righteous, but it blinds you to what actually works. The politician who stokes your resentment isn't solving your problems. He's using you to solve his own. How to stay in power. Second, you don't help the poor by punishing the successful. You help the poor by giving them the tools to climb. Education, opportunity, freedom. Every time you tax success or demonize wealth, you're not redistributing money. You're redistributing hope out of existence. Third, the greatest threat to opportunity isn't inequality of income. It's the centralization of power. When politicians convince you to hate the rich, they're not fighting for you. They're fighting to control you. The more power they have, the less you do. And the less power you have, the harder it is to rise. The politics of resentment is a trap. It keeps the poor angry, the powerful secure, and the system broken. If you want to fix things, stop looking at what others have and start asking, what's stopping you from building your own? That's not just economics, it's free.
Okay, that's it, because it was about to end. I don't think that the rich are innocent in the game, but I definitely don't think the politicians are innocent either. That's no argument. I don't think anybody on any side who is rational, not on the Republican or Democrat side, but I would say most people are independent in this country. I think that most people like lean on sides, but I think genuinely most people, if you listen to like perspectives, are independent. And the rich they're not innocent in the game. They're not innocent in the game, and neither are the politicians. So, and the irony is that most politicians are rich people. So are you saying, it just confuses me, like sometimes when he talks, it's not the rich to blame, it's the politicians that stir resentment, who are also rich. It's just weird. It's weird. I don't know, it's just a weird game, man. But anyways, y'all, I'm out. Peace.